Raiders of the Lost Diamond, a look into baseball's past.
So we are excited to jump into Raiders of the Lost Diamond. Andrew Nelson is here. Now, Andrew, I noticed you've got a Fort Worth Cats hat on. Is this cat pre or post when they CGI'd the buttholes out? Oh, that's the different kind of cats. My bad. Andrew, how are you?
Good. How are you?
And Andrew, I want to call this the first in a few editions of Raiders of the Lost Diamond where it's our axe to grind. So what are we talking about today?
All right. Well, today we're talking about one of the casualties of one baseball. So we're going to be talking about the Texas League this week rather than just one team. So the Texas League brand unfortunately died, depending on when you call it, early this year or late last year, and was replaced by the AA Central League. Is it a league?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know if they're using
because they just call it AA Central. So I don't know if they even think of them as leagues anymore, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah,
sorry,
right.
I just made things worse.
It's funny. It just dawned on me that I don't know that I've ever heard them say league or not league. Yeah, that's a great point.
The original Texas League was founded in 1888, and it went through a couple of iterations, but the modern version of the league started in 1902 as a Class D league and fielded the Corsicana Oil Cities, Dallas Griffins, Fort Worth Panthers, Paris Eisenfelders Homeseekers, Sherman Denison Students, who ended the season as the Texarkana Casket Makers, and Waco Tigers. Early 20th century baseball was a wild thing.
I want a Casket Makers throwback night so bad. Like, I'd have that hat. Let's be honest.
There's honestly a really great ebook about the early Paris teams that starts with the Homeseekers and talks about some other great teams. I really recommend it. It's only a couple.
I will definitely check it out. Definitely check it out.
In 1911, the Texas League was promoted to a Class B league, to Class A in 1922 and A1 in 1936, finally ending up as a AA league when they resumed operations after World War II in 1946. Some of the many memorable teams to play in the Texas League included the Alexandria Aces, Amarillo Gold Sox, Ardmore Territorians, Arkansas Travelers, Austin Senators, Beaumont Exporters, Brenham Cotton Pickers, Cleburne Railroaders, Corpus Christi Hooks, Dallas Submarines, nice, El Paso Diablos, Fort Worth Cats, Frisco Rough Riders, Galveston Sand Crabs. I think that's my favorite one, to be honest.
I think that's my favorite one too. And I know you've never been to Galveston, but that'd be a great place to still have a ballpark because it's a great beach and everything. Yeah.
Houston Buffaloes, of course. Longview Cannibals. Memphis Blues, Midland Rockhounds, Oklahoma City Indians, not affiliated with the major league team, at least initially. Northwest Arkansas Naturals, Paris Parasites, another one of those great teams that you can read about in that book I mentioned earlier. San Antonio Missions, Shreveport Swamp Dragons.
That's actually badass.
Yeah, isn't it?
That's pretty damn cool.
Springfield Cardinals, Temple Boll Weevils, Tulsa Drillers, and Wichita Falls Spudders.
The Tulsa Drillers.
Yeah, nice.
Also being featured on the earlier in the episode.
All right. Gotta love a tie-in.
Got to. As accidental as it might be. Yes, a tie-in.
It's the baseball gods at work, as they
Absolutely.
They say. The passing of the Texas League means a discontinuation of a lot of history and records, unfortunately. The team with the most Texas League championships was the Houston Buffaloes, who had 16. The league's first champion was the Dallas Hams in 1888. And the last champion was the Amarillo Sod Poodles in 2019.
Which a series I watched, and it was a great series. That was a great series.
They, of course, didn't play last year, so there wasn't a 2020 champion. The longest streak of championships was held by the Fort Worth Panthers, who had 6 straight championships between 1920 and 1925. Besides these team records, many great players came through and were awarded Player of the Year or Pitcher of the Year, including Dizzy Dean for the 1931 Houston Buffaloes, Hank Greenberg in 1932 with the Beaumont Exporters, Joe Morgan in 1964 with the San Antonio Bullets.
First of all, let's give props to the San Antonio Bullets, who at the time were the farm club of the Colt 45s.
Right?
That's awesome.
Their organization was really on point with the names because they also had the Moultrie 22s.
That's right. That's right. I forgot all about that too. Yeah, that's awesome. You couldn't do that in 2021, but it's awesome for whatever.
Probably not. You probably couldn't even have the Colt 45.
You probably could. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. Dennis Eckersley in 1974 with the San Antonio Brewers. Darryl Strawberry in 1982 with the Jackson Mets. Mike Moustakis in 2010 with the Northwest Arkansas Naturals. That name is a mouthful.
Yeah.
George Springer in 2013 with the Corpus Christi Hooks, and Matt Chapman in 2016 with the Midland Rockhounds. The record for the highest attendance at a single Texas League game was set by the Dallas Eagles, with 54,151 fans packed into Burnett Field on April 11, 1950. The single season attendance record was set by the Round Rock Express in 2004, with a total of 689,286 fans passing through the gates at Dell Diamond.
I was at about 4 of them, so yeah.
Nice. Yeah. You were part of history.
Part of history.
All right.
Let's what you did was you went through a lot of names, a lot of numbers, and a lot of years. And that matters to people like you and me, people that watch this show.
Mm-hmm.
Does it prove that it was so easy? Because you know as well as I do, Andrew, they could have kept these league names and just reshuffled them. Does this prove what everybody thinks, that Manfred actually doesn't care about the diehard baseball fan?
Yeah, I mean, they want control and homogeneity and efficiency. I think that's a big part of it. They don't want the distinctiveness of minor league baseball. Unfortunately, we're starting to see it more and more. Despite how they reassured us as this was all going down, we're starting to hear about how they're restricting alternate jerseys for the teams. It's sounding more and more like we're probably not going to see Copa after this year.
After this year, yeah. That's going to be a question I'm going to have in our MILB preview episode in 2 weeks. We're going to talk to Jeff Lance about that. But yeah, I know that only 70 teams are doing it this year.
Yeah. And it's all stuff they already had done too. They're not doing new ones. Putting on my tinfoil hat and thinking a little conspiratorially, it's hard not to feel like a lot of this jersey stuff is probably related to the MLB deal with Nike. And that, there a lot of these leagues and clubs had deals with OC Sports or some other
312 and
some other company to make their at least their alternate jerseys. So it's, I don't know. Yeah, I felt pretty okay at first when it did seem like they were really trying to find homes for as many of these teams as they could. It did seem like MLB was pretty much living up to their word there. And most of the orphan teams have ended up finding somewhere to play.
Something. Yeah, only 3 or 4 didn't, I think.
But we're starting to see this creeping in. We're starting to see some of the new teams releasing their jerseys that look a lot like their parent club jerseys, and it's gross.
I couldn't get less fired up, than the Somerset Patriots being super excited about pinstripes.
That's exactly who I was thinking about.
Yeah. And I'm at least, it's funny because in the microcosm as an Astros fan, Houston has long owned 2 of their clubs and have never really involved themselves on that part of it. So I'm at least reassured. But the Yankees, the Cardinals, and the Cubs, kind of it's their thing to do that.
Right. Yeah. Homogeneity. And I know I'm can sound a little bit like a homer when I'm like, well, I'm not that worried about my team. I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
But the Twins and the Saints really put out a full court press to try and reassure people, like, you're going to a Saints game. You're going to be going to a Saints game. It's going to be very much like it was before. It's not going to be the recurring guys that they would have for a few years at a time, because they're not the Saints guys anymore. They're the Twins guys. But they even said, hey, people are worried that we're going to make the Saints like us. We're hoping to bring more of the Saints to Target Field.
Yeah.
God,
that's the smart way to do it.
So much fun. But
yeah, to me, that's the smart way to do it, because you wanted in this business for a reason. And the reason is they're in some ways more successful at the gate than the parent clubs have been.
For sure.
I guess last question, and boy, this one ended up being a downer though, but like over under a number of years that this show becomes purely about indie and collegiate summer league baseball.
Over under. Well, you're supposed to give me a
three.
target.
Over under 3. This becomes
3. I think I might take the under on that one.
Whoa. Okay, so
I think it might only be like a couple years.
Yeah. All right. So last thing, we did not have a winner for last week's trivia question. However, what do we have for us this week?
All right. So I'm going to give the answer to the trivia question, even though nobody got it, even though we kind of gave it away. I'm going to be none of these questions are going to be that hard. They might sound esoteric, but
yeah,
you can find them on Wikipedia or someplace else that's easy to find, I promise. So the question last week was, the Beaumont Gators on-field cap logo was a B in a golden triangle. What's the significance of the golden triangle? And the golden triangle represented the cities of Beaumont, Port Arthur, and Orange, Texas, who were locally known as the Golden Triangle due to their oil wealth.
Oil money.
Yeah. Now, this week's trivia question. And like I said, this is easy. You should be able to look this up. It's not that hard. Joining the Texas League in 1966, which team operated longer than any other team in the league under the same name?
All right, guys, look it up. All you got to do is go to the Wikipedia page for the history of the Texas League. Be the first one to leave it in the comments on the YouTube clip, either the main show or just this segment when it drops. Andrew, you're going to be back next week. Thanks very much for jumping on and bringing us another Raiders.
All right. Thanks for having me, Jim.